up, you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Daily Grind, we're going to be having a chat about everything wrong with the optimized play mentality. Alright, so we're going to be doing a little bit of focus farming today, and as you know, one of my favorites is Saren with her overextended spores build, and then we've got our Hiku Prime with concealed explosives. You know the deal, easy peasy. Now the reason I kind of wanted to chat about this subject is we saw a lot of ugliness that happened last week when it came to the Oberon rework, and one of the big points that a lot of people were making was, well, he's not the best at the job, so why am I going to use him if he's not the best at the job? Now, there was a lot of discussions to be had, but one of my favorite discussions that actually came out of this was I was chatting with a fellow player, and they were absolutely, it was one of the more peaceful, more civil conversations that were had, but I kind of pointed out the fact that, well, if you're not using Ember for Exterminate, and you're not using Loki for captures, and if you're not using Ash with, you know, an Atarax and Naramon as your focus for endgame survival runs, you know, for solo survival runs, then technically you're doing things wrong. Because if we have this mentality that we can only use the best and we should only ever use the quote-unquote best, and that's the thing, the best is a very big perception, you know. I believe this to be the best because it fits this and that. However, a lot of people have different playstyles, so even though there's the quote-unquote best out there, a lot of times the best is subjective, and I really wanted to kind of put into question a lot of the Oberon bullying that happened, because I'm kind of like, I don't know, part of me was a little bit incredulous at some of the things that were stated, because the fact is, if we look at the best for the job, why do we ever use Chroma? Like, what do we use? What exactly is it that Chroma is the best stat that makes us want to use him? Because if we're looking for damage, a stealth frame, you know, running around with Naramon, number one, won't have their buff stripped because of the fact that the invisibility that comes from that, because of the fact that the invisibility that comes from that doesn't get stripped by nullifiers. So all of a sudden you have this immunity nullifiers that that Chroma doesn't have. And, you know, Chroma has that damage multiplier, but, you know, guess what else has that damage multiplier? Stealth. So you've got the stealth damage multiplier on top of the melee damage multiplier, and you've got an extremely, extremely survivable character. So honestly, like, what's the point of using Chroma? There's really no point. He's got some kind of, like, chintzy, team buffs, you know, with his elemental skills, but beyond that, exactly what does he contribute, right? But a lot of people, and here's the thing, I'm not here to bash Chroma. I like me some Chroma, okay? I like me some Chroma, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to hear bash on anybody, you know? Because let's be frank, I mean, even though we have, like, Equinoxes on the team, if we're talking about kind of like general exterminates, other things kill faster than her, she's just gonna get off a big AoE every now and then. But would you say that Equinox is a bad damage dealing frame? Would you, you know, choose to not take an Equinox? No, I think that, you know, even though there are frames that excel at doing certain jobs, I really want to call into the question the fact that there are a lot of frames that exist that are not the best frames for something in game, right? Let's put it this way. So Ivara, the only thing that, well, at least in my opinion, don't get mad. The only thing in my opinion is I love her for extended survival runs, because I love her being all invisible and shit. But at the same time, when it comes to invisibility, I really only use her, aside from those survival runs, the only thing that she really does for me is Lua Spy. If I'm gonna use, you know, if I'm gonna go into a spy mission, and this is arguable, because we're not actually talking about, like, the best games in game, frames in game, but I like using Loki. I think that he's the fastest, he gets the job done really, really quick, but a lot of people swear by Limbo. And I think that that's completely healthy for the game to have different kinds of approaches. However, there is this definite mentality in the community that it's only if you're only good if you're using the best. If you're not using the best, then you're not playing the game right. Which I think is absolutely atrocious, and I don't think that it's something that I would want to promote in my community. I think that mentality is actually a little bit unhealthy. And be realistic, if you're not using Ember every single time in an Exterminate, then you are doing it wrong. If you're not using Loki in the captures, then you are doing it wrong. That's the simple fact. So if you're not doing these things, then you're just as guilty as some of the people out there that like playing Oberon, you know? Maybe he's not the best reactionary healer in the game, but he can heal. He can do that kind of stuff. And let's get down to business. A lot of people are, you know, fawning over Nidus. Trinity tanks better than him. Trinity tanks better than him and out heals him. So is it really just that you're looking for damage? But legitimately, if you're looking for damage, I mean, why not just bring a Naramon Ash everywhere? Because he gets through enemies a lot faster, and he doesn't have to build stacks, and he isn't vulnerable. So legitimately, why isn't everybody just running, you know, Naramon Ash with Atarax? Well, I mean, that's nothing's gonna see you. Nothing, you know, you've got your slash damage with your slash damage procs. I mean, hell, if you even wanted to, you can bring Arcane Trickery to that, or you can even use some arcane strikes and whatnot, you know, to increase your damage even further. And at the same time, you know, if you're not using that with a Kavat, you know, if you're not using that with a Nadarza Kavat, then what's the point of even playing the game? Like, what's the point? Because legitimately, that's the best approach to playing a game, right? And that's the thing that kind of like always fascinates me, because there's some people that wholeheartedly believe that, and I like to think that a majority of people don't have that mentality. That a lot of people just play things because they enjoy it, which I think is the most important part of the game. I think it comes down to really kind of enjoying what you're playing, and that should be the primary focus of what you do in the game, not necessarily. And here's the thing. Let's get down to business and defeat the Huns. But if playing the best frame for a certain scenario is what you get off on, fucking more power to you. You do that. Go enjoy yourself. Go if your EP needs a little bit of a buffage and you need to run around with, you know, a specific frame to feel good about yourself in a mission. Hey, why not? I mean, for a while, let's be real. You could run, and you probably still do it. You can run a Limbo in a group and get like 95% of the damage, because ain't nobody else can kill that shit but you. So legitimately, what's the point in running anything else but Limbo, right? So it comes down to that kind of argument. We have so many options. We have so many options in this game. And what it all boils down to, that I think a lot of people miss out on, it's not necessarily about using the best, but it's about using what fits in the situation, what's situationally appropriate, but something that you also enjoy. So that's why, and that's why I really definitely got heated by a lot of the people saying, "Oh, it's not the best. It's not the best." I'm like, actually, he's the best passive healer in the game, because legitimately he is the only passive healer in the game. So he kind of wins by default. Y'all don't get pissed at me. I shared a good build on Oberon the other day, but technically he is the only passive healer in the game that allows him to be mobile. Everything is reactionary, whether it's Nidus laying down a patch and people having to run to the patch in order to get their heals, or it's Inaros swarming an enemy. It's like Oberon literally just puts his shit down and he just heals. That's what he does. So he's technically the best passive healer in the game. So I mean, he gets credit for that at least. So part of me is kind of like, we always want to put things in boxes and say, this is the best. This is what you should be playing. I want to know how you guys feel about that. Is that the only way to kind of like approach these situations? Wow, that's a good chunk of focus. is to only play the best? Because I think I legitimately think it should be situationally appropriate. Because, you know, we want something that can fill a role in a certain situation, but also be fun for the player. And also at the same time, even if something is the quote-unquote best, if a player is not good at playing that frame, isn't it technically better if they play a frame that's situationally appropriate that they are really good with? I've always said that I will take, a frame that's maybe not the optimal frame, but the player knows how to play them like a motherfucking bamf. I would take that over the quote-unquote optimal frame, but the player doesn't know how to fucking play them at all. Right? At least in my eyes, I always feel like it really kind of is up to the player how successful they are with a specific Warframe. I don't know if you guys find that to be true, but personally that's kind of always what's been rooted with me. And sometimes I'll take a frame, like right now, I'm farming focus. Really, legitimately, a lot of the focus farming, if we're talking about optimal farming, would be done with Equinox in her sleep build or Avara with her sleep arrow build, right? But I find this fun, I find this entertaining, and, you know, on a positive note, I can get myself some relics with it. Is that such a bad thing that I'm not playing this optimally? Is it such a bad thing that I've decided that I wanted to try an alternative? Because if we only ever play one frame, if we only ever take Ember on, you know, if we only ever take Ember on, things like, you know, exterminates, or, I mean, hell, I mean, if you got a fucking good, if you got a good enough Ember, even excavation, right? You can do that with excavation. What's the point of bringing anything that's not an Ember to excavation, right? If everybody's running 4 Embers, and you're at an excavation, legitimately, as long as you've got a good build on it and some nice accelerant chunkiness, right? You mix that shit up, maybe toss on an Atmos, pure fire Atmos, and kind of fucking call it a day, right? That is the optimal build for excavation. Why isn't everybody running that exact build for excavation? Right? I mean, you kill everything dead. You kill everything dead straight out of the gate, or you CC them with the accelerant. They're all gone. So why isn't everybody running that as the optimal build? Right? I don't know. I just kind of find those kind of arguments really infuriating. And then there's also the argument of, well, endgame. Well, they're not good at endgame. And I'm like, exactly what is your endgame? Because to DE, and this is what I've said in the comments before, I was like, you know, all those extended survival runs, and I don't mean to, you know, knock on anybody who does extended survival runs, but DE doesn't reward those survival runs because, and this is me speaking for myself, I have to be careful with how I say things because I can't speak for DE, but in my observations, DE will reward you for playing endgame. And when you play an extended survival, like let's say you play it for 60 minutes, really what's reward-wise, what's the difference between playing an extended survival for 60 minutes rather than 3 extended survivals for 20 minutes apiece? There is no reward for it. However, we do have raids, which DE, you know, wants to be an option for endgame, which definitely give out certain rewards that you can't get anywhere else. We have sorties that give out rewards that you can't get anywhere else. And to a certain degree, Kuvo floods, I know technically you could get, you know, double the amount of Kuvo, but, you know, the challenges come out straight out of the gate. You don't have to wait 40 minutes for something to get interesting. So a part of me is like, well, you're gauging certain frames as how they perform in a challenge mode, because that's what I see a lot of these extended things as, is a challenge mode that the players created, that the players decided was endgame. It was the players' version of endgame. Let's put it like that. And we just kind of, as a society, as a Warframe society, decided that that was quote unquote endgame, even though clearly DE has not put the rewards behind it, because I don't think that that's what they want endgame to be, you know? So now we're judging frames based on how they perform in an artificial construct that we as players have created, right? So now it's kind of like, in my head, it's like we're judging frames based on something that DE wasn't even trying to make us do in the first place. So, I don't know, that's why I always get really huffy about those kind of, well, it's the optimal frame, it's the best frame, it's the top tier, this is the build you have to use for this. And so, I don't know, I kind of want to reach out to you guys and see how you guys feel about, you know, these sentiments. Do you guys, I mean, like I said, my sentiment is very much, use a frame that, you know, fits the purpose that you need to get done, even if it's loosely. And as long as you get the job done, that's all that really matters, right? And, you know, don't get it done messily. Don't be a messy Bessie. We don't want that. But, you know, I also want people to have fun and enjoy the game that they're playing, because if you're forced to play Ember all the time and you fucking hate Ember, or you don't like playing Naramon Ash because you think it's cheesy, well, guess what? It's not optimal, so you can't play it, or at least in these players' eyes, you can't play it. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys feel about that. Let me know in the comments exactly what your thoughts are. Do you agree? Do you agree that optimization must happen? Because I know that there are definitely some people out there that have strong feelings about only playing the optimal game, and if you are that player, do you only ever play Ember? Do you only play Ashe with Naramon and an Atarax? Let me know how you feel, because I don't think that a lot of us do stick to just that frame, you know? Or, you know, just any one specific frame. I think that a lot of people kind of spread out and play around with a lot of different things. But feel free to express yourself in the comments below, and, you know, be nice to each other. Or, you know, I might not be so nice to you, as you have seen in the past few days. But aside from that, as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Wait, I was supposed to say bye-bye, and I was supposed to, God, I can't get anything right! Now I have to retake the whole video. Bye-bye!